Welcome back to Terminator Salvation, the video game.
Finally.
Can you feel the excitement?
You know what was ironic about the name Terminator Salvation?
What?
It didn't salvage the franchise, it killed it more so.
At
Oh
all.
no, yeah. Put it on ice machine.
Hell yeah, like,
And then Genesis.
And Dark Fate is not looking that much better, sadly.
really? I've heard people say that Dark Fate at least looks a lot better than, you know, 3 to 5.
It looks like any other generic action game. That's just the problem. Ever since even Terminator 3, I'll give Terminator 3 at least some credit. At the very least, Terminator 3 looked like a Terminator movie. Ever since 3, we never had a Terminator movie that actually properly captured the tech noir style.
Look at that ass.
Didn't Terminator 3 have...
I'm sorry, it's just
Oh my
it
god.
moves so weak.
What the heck is up
Terminator
with
3
that?
still use Stan Winston for the effects?
I think so, yeah. I mean, okay, I still hold that Terminator 3, for the most part... Oh god. I still hold that Terminator 3 for the most part does feel like a good enough Terminator film. It's only the ending that really ticks me off, and some bits here and there.
Well, wasn't there also the whole Judgment Day is inevitable?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I mean with the ending. It's like the
It was in the middle.
Like I
Well,
said,
that was in the middle too.
Like I said, the Terminator movies, as we went on, grew more and more on the idea that at the end of the day, the machines just have no possibility of losing, despite the fact that the franchise literally starts by saying that humanity will win eventually. But no. If anything, the movies prove ultimately that the equivalent of the bad guys ultimately will win.
Well,
So
It's about
it's
it
kind of
was
depressing.
it boils down to this. James Cameron, and by that I mean classic James Cameron, the one that doesn't exist, intended for the franchise to end right there at 2. Problem is, Paramount apparently probably gave him a shit ton of money, so now it's just so they can put his name on this movie.
Well, remember, he outright owns the series again now.
That in itself, I wouldn't mind. It's just the direction they took it with that boggles me. You know.
Well, again, to be fair, 3, 4, and 5 weren't involved, but didn't have Cameron involved whatsoever.
yeah. If anything,
If you really need to make a Terminator movie at that bad, why not make some kind of okay? Salvation turned out crap, and that's pretty much the only other.
I'm not
possibility.
I'm not asking for a reboot because they did it for RoboCop and it looked terrible.
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
I thought the movie itself, I thought it was fine. It was just, well...
It was a movie
It
with-
was fine.
let me put it like this: when your movie has Samuel Jackson, Michael Keaton, and
Gary Oldman.
yeah, and Gary Oldman in it, your movie should not be just fine. And even then, it's borderline just fine. There's still other things I don't care for in the RoboCop reboot. Whereas with Terminator went a bit on a downward trend. Now, Terminator 3, when you get down to it, it actually has the ingredients to be a good Terminator film. The problem was the theme it brought was that the future is inevitable. And then once you know, eventually they go back to the message being that the future is not written in Terminator Genesis,
And,
which...
and remember, according to one of the original scripts, Terminator Salvation was supposed to end with John Connors dying.
Yeah, like...
What the fuck is wrong
And
with...
with Mr. Charisma himself, Sam Worthington, putting on like a fake Christian Bale mask and pretending to be John Connor.
Which kind of would have clashed with what's established in Terminator 3, but hey, we established that the future's not written, so...
Jova, what didn't clash with Terminator 3?
But anyway, let me go instead on something that Pedro mentioned
Which is
before.
baffling, because they both shared the same writers.
The look also in the Terminator movies, because one thing that I also have kind of a bit of against the movie is the specific look that it has. You remember when the future is shown and described in the first Terminator movie in the first couple of minutes, you know, what are the colors that immediately jump on you? Blue and black, because it's night and it has this aesthetic dark blue tone to it, contrasting with the metal of the machines. Comes Salvation, and instead is this murky gray and brown.
During the
generic.
And Dark Fate is also going for that aesthetic, sadly.
And mind you, these results honestly have me convinced that they went to go for the approach in terms of instead of aesthetic to a trend that was going on with Hollywood around the time, because it was the years where the Transformers movie was. starting to get rampant, and also eventually also movies like Battleship. So instead wanted to try to be was basically a commercial for the United States Army, which was, you know, the big thing to do.
So from what I've seen of the trailer so far, it looks all right, but also I can definitely Ryan didn't broke off with Tim Miller after Deadpool 1.
Oh wait,
It's just
are you
the
talking about
fact-
Dark Fate?
Because Tim Miller's the director of Dark Fate.
It's just the
Really?
fact that
Huh, how weird. I mean,
It's
okay,
just
Dark Fate to me looks fine. Like, you know, it looks like a Terminator film again. That's great. However, it needs to do more than just look
It
like a Terminator
does.
film. It's like, you know, I think Terminator Dark Fate could actually get the series back on track like the Halloween reboot did. You know, I just realized, is this game going to turn into our extended thoughts of Terminator 4? Because I wouldn't blame it if it did,
Pretty
because
much.
there's not much
I mean,
to talk
this is a
about.
prequel after all. Anyway, we meet here instead. Let me see if I can find his name. Dobkin, the guy with the earphones, voiced by Nolan North. Another voice actor completely wasted a minor role.
How many times have we run into Nolan North in video game commentaries recently?
Remember, Lips, remember.
The
That's
guy's
shown also
practically made
with.
it his mission.
As shown with games like, with products like Spirit Island 3, Nolan is one of those people that needs some checks to pay his bills sometimes.
I mean, I actually watched the YouTube video of basically there was a scene of him having a tiny role as a cop in NCIS.
Well, it's kind of common for voice actors to be extras or minor roles in some series.
He even guest starred in an episode of a TV show. Elena's actress was.
So I'm just gonna.
When I was watching that, when I watched that clip, I was like, "What?"
One of the soldiers died.
What a
Mind
weird
you,
dying sound that was.
this is kind of scripted. Your AA partners are basically invulnerable. So if a soldier dies, it's because the story demanded it to. Like, why do you even do that?
You know, say what you will about the movie, but at least the movie went into better lengths to show the effects of war. Here, yeah, sure, there's all this debris and everything, but the actual fighting itself feels like it lacks any punch or impact in this game.
It doesn't help, like I said, when you have the same tired 2 or 3 enemy types.
And those butt
Yeah, I got a
animations
question.
are not helping.
Yes,
I got a question actually. Is this game going to explain how this?
Further away we get from here, the better.
We are playing as John Connery. Is this movie going to explain how he suddenly looks like Christian Bale in the movie?
no.
Dwibs, they never explain how he changes his
the proud
actor.
tradition of having John Connor's appearance, future John Connor's appearance, changing through each product.
Exactly are we going?
So, come on.
Head north. Walk all the way home if we got it.
Yeah, it's also a bit weird how
other
Brewster,
business.
his wife,
What kind of
went
business?
from looking like that
Only thing left here is
woman of
Skynet.
Homeland
Some of our men are still trapped in
to
Skynet territory.
The woman from Lady in the
the
Water.
lady in the
That's it,
water.
that's Connor.
Yeah.
Ah,
The man
Bryce
for you.
Dallas Howard.
Anyway,
I don't know
one
what
of those old resistance outposts
I think overall, I
We
think
can resupply
Terminator
there
Salvation
and head
was a
our
worse
separate ways.
movie than Lady
Right?
in the Water.
Works for us.
Purely because, I mean, at least
Lady in the Water at least is
has some
fascinating. Like,
entertainment,
Yeah.
has some entertainment value. The problem with Salvation is that when it's not doing really stupid stuff, it's also
my.
dull and boring and.
no. Lady in the Water is a fascinating.
They
Really?
managed to make a T-600 sneaky. Why?
Wow.
No. The Lady in the Water is a fascinating disaster. Terminator Salvation is just a bore fest.
Boring.
And it's a sad disaster too, seeing as that, okay, you have a Terminator film set entirely in the future. Well, okay, the future being 2018. Yep, that movie takes place in 2018. I'm so glad we got that robot apocalypse over and done with. A movie that takes place in the future. And I mean, seriously, Terminator films had to work with the fact that it was only in the future where we saw the futuristic stuff. You have a movie set entirely in the futuristic stuff, and you somehow do not take advantage of that to the nth degree. What the hell happened?
Jover, what do you expect? The writers of Terminator 3 wrote Salvation.
But that's the thing, Terminator 3 was more exciting than Salvation. Again, yes, stupid ending aside, and the theme that the future is supposedly inevitable and written.
That's the structure of a Terminator
I get
movie.
I get the feeling that at least I get the feeling that Jonathan Mostow, the guy who did 3, I get the feeling he at least watched the previous 2 movies, so he knew how to make the film
Possible.
and,
Yeah, exactly,
about the
that's-
shot and all that. Problem with McG is
Whoa,
Yeah.
God, McG.
McG. Well, the problems with McG were, I mean, there's been quite a few of his films have had like on-set fights.
He's managed to get even Bill
involving him.
Murray pissed off at him. How did you do that?
Okay. To be fair, the spat in Salvation was between Bale and the cinematographer, not necessarily McG himself. But it's like he's a jinx.
Anyway, let me explain quickly. The T-600 are huge sponges. They will soak up pretty much almost all your bullets if you don't know where to aim. So our proud new ally is preparing some homemade grenades to chug at them. That's your extent for most fights against the T-600.
The walking animation of the T8 of the Under Killer is just terrible. Sorry, the T600.
You
know what's sad? It's like, oh, sorry, go on.
That's just the thing. Even regardless of looks and shit, was my main concern, of course, is the fact. First of all, I don't trust James Cameron to begin with, anyway. At this point. Second, like even when he's making like something that is a big passion project of his, like Alita, I thought that movie was just okay. Again, like it was okay, I guess, but no, I don't really see what.
Also, I Laura.
Boom, boom.
Yeah, but not to mention the behind-the-scenes stuff tells me already what I need to know. With Tim Miller talking about, oh, I think fans are going to be really, really excited that James is back, and we're in as well. Well, actually, no, that doesn't get me excited. You know what would get me excited, Tim? If you had a good story to tell, that would get me excited.
Wow,
Like,
I mean,
any
any
movie can put Linda Hamilton on screen, okay? Like do you actually have a good reason to bring Linda Hamilton back? That's what I want to know.
Well, supposedly their reason is like, well, they're rebooting it to make it so that it's after 2 and actually just make it so that the future isn't written. Again, as I asked, do we actually know what the story is for Dark Fate yet?
The basic story is that there's this little girl who's
hold on. I'm sorry, guys, to mention this sad news, but no known character with 5 minutes ago is dying.
Oh no.
You see what I mean? This game is so fast, and by the and the characters in me are quickly forgotten. The only character that survives from his platoon that you encountered is Angie, the one that sticks with you, and she's a whiny. So I would have traded her gladly for this guy.
Oh well, moving on.
That face.
Well,
that's exactly it. If the characters don't seem to care, why should I?
Stop standing! Oh my god, did you see how that model was standing completely still until you came close to her? Holy heck.
Yeah, that also happened in some cutscenes before.
It's just so
Anyway,
jarring
Angie
with this
officially
game.
joins the party, fanfare and everything. So basically the plan is still to find the people that contacted John Connor still very far, and the Resistance cannot provide you help. Therefore, you need to go basically alone, like that.
Sucks, doesn't it?
It's just, it's for me. It's just the fact that, the story of Terminator Dark Fate basically boils down to there's this little girl who apparently needs to be protected because apparently she's going to be incredibly important for the war.
There's also this other girl that I saw in the trailer that's, I think is Air Protector, which is part machine as well, or something.
Yeah. Basically, apparently she's the first ever half-human, half-Terminator, however the hell that works.
Well,
didn't we try this already with Terminator Salvation?
Oh, yeah. With, I believe it was Sam Worthington's character, basically, who he plays this criminal who signs his body over to science, and then Helena Bonham Carter, who was dying from cancer, tried to do this or that, to supposedly for the life, and then she eventually becomes Skynet and this or that. And
What I mean,
somehow
what
he
I mean
becomes
is
a
that
cyborg. Shows how much
you
I
need
remember from that movie.
What I mean is that you need to be, to try hard in order to make that concept work. Because
James and Tim, taking ideas from Terminator Salvation is not really assuring me of anything.
I mean,
but anyway,
I've seen plenty of people make good ideas from stuff that turned out bad. So
also, that pose.
I'll just put it like this: I haven't seen anything from Dark Fate that really gives me any bad feelings. And hey, I mean, like I said, Mako, it worked with Halloween, so I'm willing to see if they can make this one work.
I agree, Jova, but at the same time, the bad feeling is something that lingers in the air, which I'm guessing is the same thing for Predator. So for now, I'll just wait. It helps that I'm what I really liked the first two movies. I'm not super core hard a Terminator fan. So even if Dark Fate turns out to be bad, it's not too much of a loss for me.
It's not even just that. Like, it's just, well, that's the thing. I actually am a huge fan of the first two movies.
I didn't say that you're wrong for having bad expectations, because I can understand that.
It's because two. One, James Cameron has completely demonstrated by this point that he's completely lost his talent at this point. Like, even when he's making something like Alita, which is his big passion project that's been like for what, 20 years in the making, and yet to me it was just okay. Just a very okay movie. It had some awesome visuals, but the story, was so fast-paced, with like the pacing didn't allow for the thing to fucking breathe and actually flesh out the world and the characters. It just moved on way too fast. But anyway, I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't read the manga, but I have a distinct feeling that in order to get through the first half or first set or whatever it is of the manga, that he had to rush a lot of stuff for the sake of getting to a proper good stop point for an ending. Like, I'm just guessing here, but it's what my instincts are telling me.
I haven't seen
the game just froze in order to transition to the next cutscene.
This game. Back to the topic about McGee. The weird thing about McGee is that while he's a bad filmmaker, he's a pretty good TV show director of stuff like Supernatural is anything to go by.
The Blur, Jesus Christ.
Holy cow, Blur and Lensfair in one shot!
You sure it's safe?
That's sad.
This whole game is sad.
Anyway, let me take this also to explain very quickly, how the some part of the gameplay actually works. First of all, this is another one of those cases where you game. No, this is one case where you don't sprint. Also, same that poses the guy before.
But Tio, they're dead. You should be sad.
You can sprint in this game. You have two weapons like Halo. But this is the interesting part. You have your health regenerates, but only after combat rounds. If you're in the middle of a hot and your health is very low, you'll need to work with what you have. There are no health packs, and your health only regenerates at the end. There's nothing to extend your health or anything. So basically, why do you even have the regeneration at this point? It's incredibly weird how we handled, you managing to survive in this game. Anyway, slightly new enemy type, but not really, because these are just T600 with partially human skins. These are basically Skynet's first experiment in creating a T model that could blend. And we're about to explain.
Never seen endos like this before. Looks like they're coated in some kind of rubber skin.
It's an early model infiltrator, designed to blend in with the resistance and destroy us from within. Rubber skin on a T600. Easy to spot. But the 800s, they'll have...
How do you know
And there you
that?
go. Remember, he's John Connor. That's the only reference to
fair enough.
That's the only reference to the classic movie that you're getting.
Okay, here's the thing about this game that I really want to point out. John Connor knows how all this stuff is going to go, so why doesn't he tell them every single little detail? Like, hey guys, not only will the T-800s have human skin, the T-1000s will pretty much be able to be anything and anyone, and the TXs will be like an anti-Terminator.
Jova, because if he did, then there wouldn't be a story.
Let's not forget, Pedro, according to Salvation, not only did he send Kyle Reese knowing that he was going to be his father, but he actually told Kyle Reese that he was his father. And when you get down to it, Terminator Salvation kind of implied that Kyle Reese purposely had sex with Sarah Connor to preserve the future. Which, don't get me wrong, is nice and all, but kind of did detract from the idea that it was true love.
It's a retcon and a bad one at that, if you ask me.
Yeah, thankfully Terminator Genesis kind of undid that, but...
Well, that's the thing, Jova. The ending of... I forgot exactly what my final thoughts when you commented on Genesis, but basically, the ending of Genesis is still kind of bad, if you ask me. For all the bad feeling that I may get from Dark Fate, at least I'm glad we're not following it up from the ending of Genesis, because I saw no potential from that.
Genesis' ending was essentially...
James Cameron was...
Oh, go on.
Sorry. Which is interesting, because James Cameron was actually a fan of Terminator Genesis, which, again, demonstrates that he's not the right person to be in charge of anything.
I mean, to be fair, plenty of good directors have been fans of bad things.
Not to mention, going back also to the argument of Alita, because I actually saw the movie. There's also this thing that I saw constantly about the directors wanting to have their own super secret project, that the story they always wanted to tell, which either was cancelled or turned out to be basically mad. So if anything something tells me that at the end of the day, directors work better if they're handling something they're not completely familiar with.
How about movie 43, which was a passion project?
Jesus.
When it comes to... No, that's the thing. Like I've said, like, Alita as a movie, it was just fine. Like, again, I'm not familiar with the manga, but on its own, it was fine. It had some really cool ideas and some... but
I guess, Pedro, it's also the fact that it raised the standards of Hollywood-based adaptations of anime. Because
I'll still take the 2009 Astro Boy movie.
Well, that's a cartoon. I'm talking about live action.
No, but it's an adaptation of an anime, though.
He's talking about live
it's
action,
cartoon
though.
live action.
Oh, live action.
The previous one we got was Ghost in the Shell, and it was... man. That one was actually bad.
I guess, sure.
So, but...
I'm
guessing it's a similar effect with Aquaman. How aside from Wonder Woman, the previous DC Extended Universe movies set the tone so low, so when it came out, it was something that not everyone was expecting it to be, not bad. But compared to something like Wonder Woman and Shazam, may be instead just run-of-the-mill popcorn movie.
Aquaman is
something more deep.
No, Aquaman as an Aquaman origin movie, it's fine, but
he was
I
talking
still
about
think
Wonder Woman and Shazam.
No, again, what I mean is understanding in the context of when the movie is released and what are the standards for the same category at the time of the release.
Yeah, he was talking about Aquaman comparing to Shazam and Wonder Woman, actually. So
that's what I mean. When if you think it right about now or as a
or
countless other
oh no, go on.
Oh, well, Aquaman is fine, but still not super excels or deep in that kind of way. You definitely enjoy it, but that's pretty much it. But after the falling down that was Justice League, right after the DCU could take a brief with Wonder Woman, it was not refreshing, but...
But you're just mad because you lost your virginity to my movie. Did you guys see that Zack Snyder comment?
No.
I don't know.
Basically, for the first time in a while, Zack Snyder finally spoke up about the reception of Justice League and Batman v Superman and how he got fired from the DCU. and he said he basically went full "you just don't get me" mode and talk about how people were.
Didn't he voluntarily left because of problems with his family?
That's the thing too. Turns out while it is true that his daughter did die, apparently it wasn't so much that. It was more so the advantage of that to use it as an excuse for firing him, apparently.
I'm of two minds about this. I can understand where they're coming from, but taking advantage of a death for doing that was, I don't know.
If you want to fire him,
I should have just fired him straight up.
You shouldn't use the death of a person as an excuse.
That's
so
the
here's
sad part,
what I
Joe.
don't get.
As far as I'm concerned, Joe, they didn't even need to use that excuse. Just tell us. Just say, we're gonna fire him because he did a terrible job. Which is the truth.
I mean, hey, a lot of fans were kind of clamoring for that anyway. Like, what? I mean, I don't see why they need to be professional about this one. And even still, I wouldn't call that.
Dreams. You know what I mean? What you mean? Shooting at spiders and wasps.
Oh, and also Noah North's. Oh wait, I think you're on for Noah North's character.
You know, if I wanted to watch that, I'd watch Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Like again, compared to other games. With I recall previously, Salvation is on a performance level actually better, in a sense that there are no. Hold on, Dweebs. Let me get it specifically. There are no texture popping, as far as I'm concerned. The frame rate is, while it's still a bit jarring, it remains around the 30 FPS mark. Yes, it does a bit of freezing. The only real presentation problems are obviously the cutscenes that have the audio this low, and some, like I said, some of the replacement voice actors out there, and based on the gameplay and the Rush story, obviously. Compared to, I forgot.
Stay low and keep behind cover.
Hold on. Okay. Compared to something like some of the Prince of Persia games, particularly the bad one, that also managed to have the performance on top of that, on top of the problems with story and gameplay. This is technically a bit better, but it's not saying much, and obviously it's based on a product that is even bad on its own. So overall, it still makes it very average. At worst, at the very best, and even I would argue that it's still not enough.
Let me put it this: Terminator Salvation could have been a fine game, but it is some of the worst production values you ever see that, despite also, having perfectly fine gameplay.
I forgot if I said this already, but to add, there's no multiplayer mode. Glips mentioned that it was supposed to happen, but it was scrapped down because the game needed to be released very fast. So the best that you get is a short story single-player mode, which you can potentially have co-op with, which is cool, but again, it's a very short experience. It's a full 6 bucks at launch. Again, much like a lot of other games at the time, like Battleship. Like, this is one of the reasons why nowadays licensed games are not being done anymore. Aside from the costs, they're not done in huge quantities as in the past for these reasons.
Usually nowadays, when they're done, they actually have some better quality.
And there you go. I just defeated the Hunter Killer again.
It was truly riveting.
And mind you, Jova, this is the last boss battle of the game. There is no final boss. Like,
so we're done basically.
Not really.
Not entirely.
So we killed the bad guy, or at least the final boss, and yet we're still not done?
Well, technically speaking, there is no final boss, but the game continues as a final level and everything. This is technically the last boss battle that you face in the entire game.
Basically.
What kind of structure is that?
It's the kind of structure that assumes that you totally want to be around just for the lulz, man. And hey, just because you've been the most strongest enemy.
Simply put, shitty enemy selection. Because like I said, you have a terrible enemy variety, and as a result, you only have one boss enemy type, the Hunter Killer, which So
Imagine if imagine if you're playing God of War 1 and you killed Ares at the middle of the game and it just kept going.
Well, no, that's the problem, Pedro. Like, it's not the fact that it's the final boss who showed up early. It's the fact that there potentially a final boss missing entirely. Going through your example, it would be as if the last boss that you faced is Medusa almost at the beginning in the first God of War, and Ares gets killed in a cutscene at the end.
Skynet
Yeah.
knows we're here now.
Anyway, here I found the things talking. Check this out. So basically, Snyder decided to go full asshole when it comes to the reception of Batman v Superman, and he said specifically about people being mad about Batman killing people, which again, I think I don't need to explain by this point why Batman should not kill, because even live action movies with Batman Begins, I've explained why we need that for the character. It's an important aspect of him. But so I'm gonna skip over that. But here's what he had to say. But here's what he had to say. Oh, like Batman killed a guy. I'm like, really? Wake the fuck up, Snyder said. So I guess that's what I'm saying about. Once you've lost your virginity to this fucking movie, and then you come to say to me something like, my superhero wouldn't do that. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like down the fucking road on that. You know what I mean? No, I'm not kidding. This is what he's saying.
Accidentally being hacked by Frank Miller.
Yeah, weird.
Well, remember, Batman v Superman is based
I know that. I know that,
so...
but Snyder, with that sentence, Snyder is kind of talking exactly like Frank Miller.
I know, right? Zack Snyder is basically a Frank Miller fanboy, and there you go, too. Frank Miller 2.0.
I can't wait for his independent adaptation of Holy Terror.
Oh, God.
For in case you don't know, Dave, Holy Terror is a bad, really bad, insensitive, and mean-spirited comic about how America is so proud in the fight against terrorism.
It was so bad that even DC said, "Nah, we ain't letting you make this a Batman."
It was supposed to be originally a Batman story, but DC was like, "Nope," and to the point that not only Frank Miller, but the editor-in-chief for DC at the time, I forgot what he was called, they got both fired at the same time, and they founded their own company with check occurs in order to do it.
But it doesn't end here, though. Okay, so basically, he also says, it's a cool point, Snyder continued. Look, I'm 100% fine with it. It's a cool point of view to be like, my heroes are still innocent. My heroes didn't lie to America. My heroes didn't embezzle money. My heroes didn't commit any atrocities. I'm like, that's cool, but you're you see, Teo, if you think it's important for Batman to have his one rule where he doesn't go there, because if he does so, he's just as bad as the guy who killed his parents, you're just living in a fucking dream world, Teo. Sorry.
You know,
I mean, he got bad, mind you, to Victor, and in the comics he got to, even in one major event like Final Crisis, where Batman actually pulled a gun against Darkseid. Mind you, the circumstances were made it so that Batman could have potentially a good reason to use it against Darkseid, but the consensus among the fans were still that Grant Morrison should have still find a better way to handle the situation. So even when it's something that is eradicated entirely in the origins of the character and the decisions that ultimately have in established the character. Even when the character got upgraded from the Silver Age, thanks to people like Frank Miller too, by the way, they still kept the policy of him not killing people. And even so, I would argue that Frank Miller, technically speaking, doesn't touch the Batman. All his story is about people like Crazy Steve, the guy in All-Star Batman and Robin, or the one of the Dark Knight Returns, are technically speaking Elseworld stories. So they're not, quote-unquote, damaging the main character, just what ends, but on purpose of... But and the same with the DCEU, except the fact that the DCEU is basing itself on more of the classic DC continuity. Therefore, it's still a bit jarring to see the Batman of this continuity being based more on the Frank Miller version, especially the other characters aren't.
Yeah.
So, but,
Oh wait, guys! Skynet reinforcements. Thought you should know
yes,
that about what's going
once
on
again,
in the game.
horde after horde of the same identical enemies. I will say this: I like the tourist section, but they're basically bogged down by a problem: limited ammo. Usually, the #1 rule to make turret section fun is that you put infinite ammos onto it and let people have fun. If you want to give some challenge, put an overheating system, which, mind you, it's something that some turret section in this game later on have. So it's super inconsistent in this game.
So yeah,
And there
after,
you go, I just ended the ammo. Sorry. Go on, Pedro.
so yeah, after this, it's abundantly clear that this guy is not even worth our fucking attention anymore, and he's gone full asshole at this point.
Wow, all the more power to WB for dropping him.
It's not even just that. Hey, guess what, Libs?
What?
Turns out, according to this article, next for him is gonna make a Netflix original movie called Army of the Dead. It's a return to the zombie genre for him. So basically,
McGee.
No, Zack Snyder. So Zack Snyder is now going the Wachowski route, where since nobody is going to fund any of his movies in Hollywood anymore, he's gonna go into Netflix and eventually will fit into obscurity like the Wachowskis.
The Wachowskis
Well,
even
according
still
to the rumors, the Wachowski are supposedly coming back with a new Matrix movie, so who knows?
Well, yeah,
why?
that's like the only way they have of making themselves relevant again.
I mean, I don't get why. I mean, Warner Brothers should know by now that the past few Wachowski's movies they've released have been gigantic box office flops.
Well, that's
boils
why
down to
it's
this.
still just
It
a
boils down-
rumor, though, and not actually confirmed.
It boils
Yeah,
down
yeah,
to
yeah.
well, assuming it's true for the sake of argument.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Follow me.
No, that's your
Follow me
cutscene.
if you
Follow
wanna-
me, and that's it.
You didn't even say the
Oh,
iconic
okay.
"Come with me if you want to live" line. For shame, movie. For shame, game.
And not just that, it's follow me and they're just walking tranquilly away. Never mind the fact that there are the machines around, so you need to be cautious about it. It's just like that.
Brilliant.
This game. Anyway, see you for the next part when we meet more people, thankfully.
See ya.
See you then.